I did want to talk about social media because it is influencing all of us and it's impacting us in, huge ways. So, how has social media influenced you about how you feel and how you show up in the world? Because we see so much from people having quote unquote fake lives that we see or hear. Is anyone really putting their authentic self on social media, or are you just only putting the good stuff on social media? Are we being real with each other on social media? So I wanted to really highlight social media because I feel like it's a big topic that we need to talk about here today.
To be honest, I had to temporarily deactivate my social media. It was kind of like an addiction, to be honest. I was sitting there scrolling nonstop, maybe 5 to 6 hours a day, getting off work. And I feel like it became, it almost becomes like a piece. Like you kind of, once you take care of the outside world, it was like coming to the phone and just being like, finally I can relax. Finally I can just have my alone time. And, but what I found myself doing was I was comparing myself, and I was thinking like, oh, if I had what they had, people would see me. Or if I did what they did, people would see me. So I was like, okay, I'm gonna get a car. And I was like, I'm gonna get a car. It's gonna be a nice car. I'm not gonna tell y'all what kind of car it was. And I said, if I get this car, they gonna see me for real. I'm like, and I'm gonna look good in it, but they gonna see me in it. And so I get the car, and I promise y'all, I look good in the car. I promise you. But I still wasn't seen. And I couldn't understand why I wasn't being seen. And so I was scrolling one day, just scrolling, 3 hours in maybe. And I saw a video, and the girl was like, she said, this book changed my life. And so I'm like, okay, so I'm really about to be seen. If this is changing her life, it's gonna change my life. And so what the devil meant for bad, God will turn for good. The book was called The Holy Spirit, the Bondage Breaker. And I'm like, okay, what that mean? Okay. And so in the book it said, a stronghold is a lie based on deception. And what that means is you have a lie. And my lie was, I believed that if I did the things that people were doing on social media, then I would be seen. So that was a lie, right? And so because I believed the lie, I was deceived. And so because I was deceived, it then became something I accepted. I thought it was my peace. And so it then became a habit because I've accepted it and I'm thinking it's good for me, right? And so then that habit becomes an addiction because I'm like, oh, it's giving me peace. So I gotta have it every day. So I gotta get on social media because I'm like, this is my peace time. I can get away from everything. Once I read that book, I was like, oh, okay, I see what's happening here. So God was like, oh, you trying to be seen? Well, see yourself. See yourself first. So, yeah.
Love that. Thank you, Jade. And thanks for sharing that real experience too. Yeah, definitely so. Did you want to say something?
There is a correlation between struggling with your mental health and your engagement with social media. Research shows that the more you engage with social media, the more likely you are to struggle with depression or anxiety, or for your depression, anxiety symptoms to become exacerbated based on how much you engage with social media. That's a fact, absolutely. However, I think it also depends on how you decide to engage with social media, right? Because in a realistic world, most of us are more than likely going to engage in social media in one way or another. It's how we connect with one another. It's how we stay in touch with our friends. It's how we express ourselves for a lot of people. Like, I'm definitely not going to lie to you. I have an Instagram. I have a TikTok. I enjoy social media, but I also have cultivated my feeds to reflect who I am, I guess is what I'm saying. So I follow people that are diverse, that look like me, that have different body types, that believe the same things that I do in terms of, practicing positive body image, anti-diet culture, things like that. And I've unfollowed people who I've found to be more negative and were negatively impacting the way that I felt about myself or the way that I felt about others. And so if you are struggling with social media, I think taking a break is certainly an option. But if that feels unrealistic to you, then cultivate your feed. You're in complete control over who you follow and who you don't. Unfollow people that don't make you feel good about yourself. You don't owe them a follow. You don't have to be friends with them. And start following people that bring you more joy to your feed. Start following people that post funny dog videos on TikTok instead of people that are doing all these hauls of like, look what I bought and look all the clothes that I have. So I think that there's a balance, and I can certainly see both sides. Like, I can certainly see why it feels unrealistic for some people to completely disengage from social media. And I can also see why someone would choose to completely disengage from social media.
Yeah. Thank you guys for sharing that.